It was just after 11 when my phone started going off like it was trying to crawl out of my pocket, buzzing so hard it nearly jumped off the coffee table. The name glowing on the screen hit me like a brick. Kelly. My wife. She was supposed to be out with her friends that night. Something about a girl's dinner and wine and too many selfies. I let it ring once, twice, maybe 3 times before I picked up, not because I was worried, just tired. That deep kind of tired that settles in your bones after years of carrying someone else's weight without ever asking them to lift yours. The second I answered, I knew something was wrong. Not car crash wrong. Not someone's in the hospital wrong. No, this was a different breed. This was that slow, sick twist in your gut, the kind that comes before your heart even catches on. The noise on the other end was chaos, loud laughter, glass breaking, some thumping club beat that sounded like it was being played inside my skull. And then there was her voice, slurred, wild, carefree in a way I hadn't heard since college. You know what's hilarious? She laughed, dragging the words out like they were melting. He actually thinks I'm out with Lauren and the other boring cows. A guy laughed back, low and amused, and something about it made my skin crawl. You're bad, babe. Like, real bad. Her voice was soaked in tequila and cruelty. I'm a damn expert, she giggled. A world-class actress. Then I heard it. Wet, unmistakable, the sound of her kissing him. I held the phone tighter like it might change what I was hearing, like it could squeeze out a different version of reality. My hands started shaking, but I didn't hang up. I couldn't. I needed to hear it all, no matter how much it broke me. He's probably at home, being all sweet and clueless, she said, her voice thick with mockery. Like some dumb little puppy waiting for me to come home. I could hear them moving, clothes rustling, her breathing quickening, the guy's voice dropping into a groan. You think he knows I had your D***CK in my mouth in his car last month? My whole body locked up, jaw clenched, spine stiff, heart slamming so hard I thought I might pass out. I wanted to believe it was a joke, a prank, anything but what it clearly was. But the way she laughed, it was real. They were laughing at me like I was a punchline. For 6 solid minutes, my wife unknowingly broadcasted her betrayal directly into my ear like it was some twisted podcast from hell. 6 minutes where everything I thought I knew about my marriage crumbled. When the call finally dropped, I just stared at the screen like it had personally betrayed me too. I didn't cry, didn't yell. I just sat there, phone still in my hand, the silence screaming louder than the music ever could. I don't know how long I stayed like that. Could have been minutes. Could have been hours. All I know is something inside me broke. Not in a dramatic, sobbing kind of way, but in a quiet, chemical shift kind of way. Like my DNA had just been rewritten without my consent. I didn't know then that this was just the first crack. That Kelly had built an entire life of lies underneath the surface. I had no idea how deep the rot went. For now, there was only the stillness. The kind that settles in after a bomb goes off, when the dust hasn't even started to fall. I didn't sleep that night. Not even a second. I just sat there in the dark, eyes fixed on the front door like an animal waiting to pounce. I don't remember thinking, not clearly. Just flashes. Bits of old memories being eaten away from the inside. Every, I love you, now felt like a weapon. Every smile, a mask. The hours passed slow and bitter. Midnight came and went. 1, then 2. At 2:39, the lock turned. The door creaked open. And Kelly, the woman I thought I knew, walked in drunk off her ass, heels clacking like warning bells. She didn't even see me at first. She was giggling to herself, reeking of vodka and someone else's cologne. Her lipstick was smeared, her dress wrinkled in a way I didn't want to think about. And when she finally noticed me sitting there in the dark, the show really began. She froze when her eyes landed on me, like she had just stumbled into a horror movie and realized the killer had been sitting in her living room the whole time. Jesus, Mike, she slurred, clutching her purse to her chest like it might shield her from the truth. You scared the hell out of me. Why are you sitting in the dark like a damn psycho? I didn't answer. Not yet. I just stared at her, letting the silence press down like a weight. Her hair was wild, her mascara smudged halfway down her cheek, and there was a fresh hickey blooming on her neck like a badge she was too drunk to hide. She tried to pretend everything was fine. Big mistake. She tossed her purse onto the table and flopped onto the couch across from me, legs spread out, the picture of casual indifference. Girls' night was crazy, she said with a laugh that scratched against my ears. You wouldn't have survived it. She grinned like nothing in the world was wrong. And that was the moment the fire inside me turned into something colder, something sharper. I pulled out my phone, opened the call log, and held the screen up so she could see her own name and the 6-minute duration glowing in the blue light. Her smile faltered for just a heartbeat. I kept my voice low, steady. "You called me tonight," I said. 6 minutes. I heard everything. For a second, no more than that, I saw her real face. The one she keeps buried under all the makeup and fake charm. Panic. Raw and ugly. Then she slammed the mask back on. "Oh my God, you are being so dramatic," she snapped, crossing her arms. "It was just some harmless fun. Everyone flirts when they're drunk. It doesn't mean anything." That word, harmless, rattled around in my head like a bullet in a steel box. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, voice still terrifyingly calm. "Do you usually flirt with your mouth on another man's neck? Do you call me pathetic while you're screwing around behind my back?" She rolled her eyes. Rolled her damn eyes like I was the one being ridiculous. "Maybe if you weren't so boring, I wouldn't have to look for excitement somewhere else." There it was. No apology. No guilt. Just a dagger to the ribs, twisted with a smile. I sat back, staring at her like I didn't even recognize her anymore. And maybe I didn't. Maybe I never really had. All those years. Every time you said I love you. Every time you said I was your soulmate. That was all just garbage. I whispered. She stood, wobbling slightly, and shrugged like I had asked her about the weather. "Whatever. This marriage has been dead for years. You were just too blind to see it." She turned and walked down the hallway toward our bedroom. Our goddamn bedroom. Heels clicking like gunshots. She didn't even look back. I didn't follow. I didn't yell. I just sat there, trying to breathe through the roaring in my head. The place where she had been moments ago already felt like a grave. Something in me snapped. Quiet. Permanent. She hadn't just cheated on me. She'd torn through the illusion of love with such reckless cruelty that it made me wonder if she had ever loved me at all. And that thought didn't make me cry. It made me furious. It made me dangerous. And in that cold, merciless moment, I knew one thing for certain. I was done being her punching bag. Done being the man she could lie to and laugh about behind closed doors. She thought she could shatter me, and I would just sweep the pieces into a box and move on. But she was wrong. The morning felt different. Thicker, heavier. No birds, no light, just silence. Kelly was still passed out in bed, sprawled across my side like it was hers to take. I stood at the doorway and watched her breathe. The same woman who had spit in my face with a smile the night before, now sleeping like she didn't just rip out the foundation of my entire life. Her lipstick was smeared across the pillow. The same pillow I used to kiss her goodnight on. The hickey on her collarbone was darker now, and it made my stomach twist. If I were a different man, maybe I would have screamed, thrown something, begged her to explain. But I wasn't that man anymore. I was done begging. I grabbed the old leather notebook she had given me years ago with the words, "Forever yours," stamped on the front in gold. The irony was enough to make me laugh. I flipped it open and started writing. Not a diary, not a breakup note. A list. A cold, clinical list of facts. She lied about where she was. She kissed another man. She called me names. She laughed about it. She came home drunk and tried to pretend like nothing happened. Reading those words back to myself didn't hurt. It cleared my head. It gave me purpose. I was not going to scream. I was not going to cry. I was going to dismantle her life, piece by piece, until she had nothing left to hide behind. The sun was barely up when I started laying the groundwork for what would come next. Kelly was still knocked out cold in our bed, tangled in sheets she had no right to touch, drooling onto the pillowcase like she had not just wrecked everything we built. I moved around the house silently, like a ghost in my own home, gathering things that mattered, my laptop, my passport, the documents I always meant to organize but never did. While she slept off her betrayal, I made moves. I started with something small. I messaged Lauren, the friend Kelly claimed she had been out with. "Hey, just checking in. Kelly made it home okay last night. You guys looked like you were having fun at that club." The reply came fast. 30 seconds later. "Huh? We didn't go out. She told me she was spending the evening with you." Boom. Alibi obliterated. It felt like a switch flipping inside me. Confirmation that this wasn't just a one-night lapse in judgment. This was orchestrated. Ongoing. She was an architect of deception. From there, I got methodical. I opened a new bank account. Quiet, clean, only in my name. I pulled out my phone and backed up everything. The call log, audio recordings, screenshots of texts, anything I could find. Thank God for that call recorder app one used for work. Who knew it would end up saving my sanity? I started taking pictures of everything in the house that had value. Her designer shoes, jewelry, electronics. I copied every receipt, every shared statement. Then I scheduled a consultation with a divorce lawyer I found online with the tagline, brutally efficient. That was the energy I needed. I removed myself from every joint account I legally could, pulled my name off utilities, canceled a shared streaming service just to feel the power of a single clean cut. Every move was strategic, quiet, deliberate. By the time Kelly finally stumbled into the kitchen at 11:40, her hair a rat's nest, wearing one of my old shirts like it was a trophy, I was already 10 steps ahead. She yawned like a queen who had just finished conquering a kingdom. "Morning," she said with a scratchy voice, oblivious. "Why are you up so early? You look like crap." I did not even flinch. "Meeting," I said. "Important one." She did not question it. Of course not. She was too busy raiding the fridge for orange juice she did not buy. Watching her move around like everything was normal felt surreal, like seeing a lion lounging in your living room after it tore your family to shreds. She did not apologize. She did not even look ashamed. She just assumed I would get over it. Like I always had. Like every fight, every cold shoulder, every lie could be smoothed over with a smile and a lazy excuse. That was the moment it hit me hardest. Kelly was not sorry. She was not even capable of understanding why what she did was disgusting. And that made what I was planning so much easier. Because people like her, they do not deserve clean exits. They deserve exposure. Slowly, publicly, mercilessly. And I was done saving her from herself. She had been handed every chance to be decent, to be honest. And she chose the opposite. So I would let her fall. No, I would push. And the best part? She would never see it coming. Sunday bled into Sunday afternoon, and Kelly strutted around like nothing was wrong. She FaceTimed someone in the bedroom with the door half shut, voice suddenly sweet, like poisoned honey. "Baby, I miss you already," she purred, followed by a giggle so fake it made my spine ache. I recorded it. 37 seconds of her being exactly who she really was. Then at 3 o'clock, she said she needed fresh air and left the house. Probably to go crawl back into whatever car she had desecrated last month. Perfect. The second the door closed behind her, I snapped into overdrive. I pulled out the USB drive I kept hidden in a lockbox, my in case of emergency stick. This was an emergency. I loaded every digital receipt of betrayal onto it. Audio, screenshots, timestamps, the whole damn truth. I made 3 copies. One went in the glove box of my car. One got taped inside my suit jacket. One I dropped into an envelope and mailed to my brother with a note that said, "Open if I disappear." Maybe it was paranoid. Maybe not. You have never seen the fire in Kelly's eyes when she feels cornered. Then I made a call. A nuclear one. To her mother. Proper, judgy, pearl-wearing Diane. The woman who had spent half our marriage acting like I was beneath her daughter. She picked up on the third ring. "Oh, Mike, how lovely to hear from you." I kept my voice calm. "Cold. Diane, just thought you should know. Kelly's been sleeping with someone else. Been lying about it for a while. Figured you'd want to know." Silence. Not even a gasp. Just this heavy, frozen pause on the line. "Excuse me?" she finally croaked. "You heard me," I said. "I think you always thought I was the problem. Turns out your daughter was just like her father." That last part? That was a bullet. She inhaled sharply, but I did not stick around to hear the fallout. I hung up. Let the grenade go off behind me. 5 minutes later, Kelly's phone started buzzing in the kitchen like it was going to explode. I leaned against the counter and smiled. The cracks were starting to show. And the collapse? That was coming soon. Kelly came crashing through the front door like a thunderstorm wrapped in heels and leftover perfume, eyes wide and wild. Phone clenched in her hand like it had personally betrayed her, and before I could even blink, she shoved it in my face and screamed, "What the hell did you say to my mother?" Her voice cracked like a whip across the kitchen, but I didn't flinch, didn't raise mine to match hers. I just crossed my arms and met her stare with the same cold, detached stillness I'd been building since the moment I heard her drunken voice mocking me in that club. I told her the truth, I said. "Isn't that what you always said you wanted?" Honesty. She blinked like I had slapped her. Her face twisted, trying to decide between fury and fear, and for the first time, I saw something in her eyes that looked a little like doubt. Good. Let her spin. Let her wonder what I had already done, what I was about to do. Because that was just the first hit. The real one was coming next. That night, I barely slept. Not from pain anymore, but from focus. Pure, surgical focus. Every move I had planned was lined up like dominoes. And now it was just a matter of flicking the first one and watching the chain reaction tear her little kingdom down. Monday morning came heavy and gray. No sunlight. No birds. Just the sound of a clock ticking somewhere in the house, like a countdown. Kelly stayed in bed, pretending to sleep, but I could hear the shift in her breathing. Too shallow, too forced. She was not resting. She was bracing. But she had no clue how deep the knife was going to cut. At 7 a.m. sharp, I put on a button-down shirt and slacks like it was any other day. I polished my shoes. I combed my hair. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back, but I liked him. He looked calm. Unshakable. Deadly. I grabbed the USB drive, the one I had burned full of her sins, and drove across town to her office building, a sleek glass tower she used to strut into every morning like she owned the damn place. She worked in marketing, public image, branding, spin, and I smiled at the irony. I parked across the street and watched the building for 10 minutes, sipping a black coffee like I had all the time in the world. At 7:45, her boss, Richard, strolled in with his Bluetooth jammed in his ear and a cup from that overpriced coffee chain she used to brag about. I followed, walked in calm, polite, professional, told the front desk I had a delivery for Mr. Lawrence, urgent. 5 minutes later, I was in his office, sitting across from a man who had no idea the bomb I was about to drop on his perfectly polished desk. I placed the drive between us like it was made of gold. Everything you need to know is on there, I said, including how your employee Kelly has been using company time and resources to carry out her little affair. Thought you should know before it damages your brand. His face paled. Why are you giving this to me? He asked. I smiled, genuinely, for the first time in weeks. Because I'm divorcing her, I said. And you're about to see the real version of the woman you hired. I stood, shook his hand, and left before he could respond. Walked right out, calm as a preacher, while inside his office he was pressing play on the downfall of his star employee. I got back to my car and parked across the street again, waiting, watching. At 9:02, Kelly strutted into that building in her little power suit, fake smile already painted on, ready to conquer another day in the empire she built on lies. And 30 minutes later, she walked out again, fired. Her makeup was smeared, her hands were trembling, and she carried a cardboard box filled with the scraps of her fake professional life. She looked gutted. Good. It still wasn't enough. I waited until she got home, still wearing her heels, still clinging to that box like it could somehow save her from the flood, and then I dropped the final hammer. Divorce papers. Thick, cold, and final. I slapped them on the kitchen counter like a death sentence. She froze, stared at them like she didn't understand the language, like maybe she thought I was bluffing. Sign them, I said, or I release everything. To your friends, your coworkers, the local press. You know how much they love scandals, right? Especially ones that involve charity volunteers screwing around on their lunch breaks. Her mouth opened, closed. Nothing came out. For the first time in her life, Kelly had no comeback. No manipulation. No lie. Just the truth hanging in the air like smoke. Her eyes welled up, mascara pooling beneath her lashes, and she whispered, Mike, please, can't we just talk about this? I almost laughed in her face. Now you want to talk? I asked, voice like steel. After all the lies, the humiliation, the disrespect? No, Kelly, we're done talking. You burned this marriage to the ground. I'm just sweeping up the ashes. Her hand shook as she picked up the pen. She signed. Silent. Broken. And me? I felt nothing. No guilt. No grief. Just relief. Cold. Clean. Beautiful relief. She did not say a word after she signed. No apology. No excuse. No more fake tears. Just that stunned silence that only happens when someone realizes they are not the predator anymore, but the prey. She stood there like a statue in her office clothes, her makeup streaked down her face like war paint, still holding that sad little cardboard box like it meant something now that everything else was gone. I picked up the divorce papers, slid them neatly into a folder, and left them on the counter like a completed transaction. No speech. No goodbyes. Kelly just stood there watching me like I was a stranger who had walked into her movie and rewritten the ending. But I was not a stranger. I was the man she used to call her home, and now I was the fire burning that home to the ground. I walked out without looking back. The air outside was sharp and cold, but it felt cleaner than it had in years, like I was breathing without inhaling poison. I drove with no real destination, just letting the road take me somewhere that did not smell like her perfume or taste like her lies. There was no music playing, just the sound of my own breathing and the hum of the engine. I kept waiting for the sadness to show up, for the grief to hit like a sucker punch, but it never came. All I felt was clarity. Somewhere near the edge of town, I pulled into a rundown diner I had passed 100 times but never entered. I slid into a booth by the window, ordered black coffee and a greasy burger, and sat there chewing through the wreckage of my past, while Kelly's world burned behind me. I thought about all the nights she told me she was with friends, all the times she smiled at my parents across the dinner table while probably texting some other man under the table. I thought about the holidays, the anniversaries, the quiet mornings where she said, "I love you," with the same mouth that kissed someone else hours before. Every memory I had was corrupted now. Every laugh, every late-night whisper, every joke we once shared. It all felt like a setup, a scam. And the worst part? She did not even believe she had done anything wrong. In Kelly's world, loyalty was optional. Kindness was weakness. Love was just a tool to keep the comfort coming. That was what made it all so clear to me now. She never loved me. She loved the idea of me. The stability. The safety net. The man who paid the bills and made the life look picture perfect on Instagram. And the second that illusion got boring, she tossed it like an old shirt and laughed while it burned. But I had learned something she never did. Some betrayals do not break you. They reforge you. They melt down who you were and forge something harder, sharper, smarter. The man she married? That man was gone. That version of me died the night she forgot to hang up that phone. What rose from the ashes was someone she could not manipulate, could not beg, could not seduce. That night, while she was probably sitting in the silence of our now empty house, texting her new boy toy or crying into her wine, I was back at my apartment. Small. Quiet. Mine. The phone buzzed every few minutes. Text after text. "Mike, please. Can we talk? You're blowing this up for nothing. We can fix this. Fix this." She still thought it was about fixing us. No, it was about fixing me. And then the tone changed. Guilt. Then anger. Then desperation. Old photos. Ones she used to send me when we still pretended to be in love. She thought she could crawl her way back in with nostalgia and skin. She had no idea that door had been locked, bolted, burned. I did not respond. Not to the bait. Not to the tears. Not even to the rage. I had learned to speak a new language, one she did not understand. Silence. But the world? The world was starting to speak mine. By Tuesday, word had gotten out. It always does. Someone in her little social circle must have seen the fallout and spilled the tea, because my phone started lighting up again, this time from people we used to call friends. Jenna texted me first. "Oh my God, Mike. I'm so sorry. We had no idea. We thought you guys were perfect. This is insane." Insane? No. This was Kelly without the mask. The facade she'd polished for years was cracking, and everyone was watching it crumble. The photos started vanishing from her social media. The couple selfies. The romantic captions. The status updates changed from married to Mike to just. The comments kept piling up. Some sympathetic. Most curious. Everyone loves a good fall from grace, especially when the queen bee loses her crown. She tried to control the narrative, of course. Posted some vague inspirational quote about sometimes people grow apart and respecting each other's journeys. I almost choked on my coffee. She still wanted to play the victim, still painting herself as the tragic heroine of a love story gone wrong. Bullshit. I did not comment. I did not correct her. I did not need to. The truth was already bleeding through the cracks, and soon it would flood everything she tried to salvage. I knew Kelly, knew her better than anyone ever had, maybe better than she even knew herself. And if there was one thing I could bet my life on, it was that she was not going to go down quietly. Kelly did not lose gracefully. Hell, she did not even know how to lose. So I waited, knowing the silence would not last. And sure enough, Thursday evening brought her next move wrapped in fur and guilt and 10 years of fake smiles. Her mother, Diane. She showed up at my new apartment without warning, standing outside in the cold like some ghost from a life I already buried. Her coat was expensive, as always, but her face looked pale, worn, cracked around the edges like the truth had aged her overnight. I should have slammed the door in her face. God knows she earned it with all the times she treated me like I was never good enough for her precious daughter. But I let her speak. I needed to hear it. "Michael," she said, her voice barely holding itself together. "I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happened to her." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, heart like concrete in my chest. "Maybe she was always like this," I said. "Maybe you were just too busy painting the outside to see how rotten it was underneath." She flinched. Good. I was not interested in her pity. I did not need her apology, and I damn sure did not need her forgiveness. She left without another word, shuffled back to her luxury SUV like someone walking away from a funeral. And me? I went back inside and locked the door behind her. Every chain, every bolt. Not because I was afraid, because I was finally, truly free. But Kelly? She was not done. Not even close. That night, the phone rang. Her name flashing on the screen again, like a virus I forgot to delete. I let it ring. And ring. Then the voicemail kicked in. I listened, not out of hope, not out of longing, but curiosity. Her voice was a mess of sobs and shaky gasps. "Please, Mike," she whispered. "I made a mistake. I didn't mean to hurt you. We can fix it. I love you. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Please don't throw us away." I stared at the phone long after the message ended. Not because I wanted to call her back. Not because I still felt anything. But because of how small her voice sounded. Like the queen had shrunk down to a beggar. That should have felt like victory. It didn't. Because winning against someone like Kelly is not victory. It is survival. And thank God I had survived. Friday came quiet. Too quiet. And with Kelly, silence was not peace. Silence was plotting. So when my phone rang that afternoon from an unknown number, I felt it in my gut before I even picked up. "Michael Reynolds?" the voice said. "This is Officer Langston with the city police. We need you to come in to answer a few questions regarding a harassment report filed against you." I almost laughed. There it was. The final card. Her attempt to twist the story and paint herself as the victim. I walked into that sterile little interrogation room, sat across from a cop who clearly did not want to be there, and watched as he slid a thin file across the table with my name on it. Kelly had claimed I was stalking her, threatening her, endangering her emotional safety. It was weak, obvious, desperate. I calmly explained everything. The cheating, the recorded phone call, the documentation, the timeline, the USB drive with evidence. Officer Langston's eyebrows lifted when I mentioned that. "You recorded the phone call?" he asked. "Automatically," I said. "I use an app for work. She just forgot she called me while she was. Well, you'll hear it." I handed him the drive like I was passing him the final nail in the coffin. He told me to wait outside. 15 minutes later, he walked out and shook my hand. "You're good to go, Mr. Reynolds." Seems like she forgot we verify phone records before we believe fairy tales. Checkmate. I walked out of that building feeling lighter than I had in years. The last bridge she had tried to walk across had just collapsed beneath her. Friends? Gone. Job? Gone. Family? Gone. Now even the law would not play along. That night she sent one last message. A long, desperate monologue of a text, talking about how sorry she was, how broken she felt, how she needed help, how I was the only one who ever truly loved her. For a second, just a flicker, I almost felt pity. Almost. But then I remembered every lie. Every night, I waited for her to come home. Every time I blamed myself for feeling the distance. And I remembered something even more important. Pity is for the weak. And I was not weak anymore. I stared at the message, let it hang in the air, then deleted it. Blocked her number. Blocked her email. Blocked every path she could ever use to slither back into my life. I did not need an apology. I did not need her to admit she was wrong. She was not a chapter in my life anymore. She was a warning label. A blood-red flag I would never ignore again. The first real morning of my new life did not come with sunlight pouring through the blinds or birds chirping some hopeful soundtrack. It came with silence. Thick, weighty silence. No buzzing phone. No fake laughter from the kitchen. No scent of Kelly's perfume choking the air. Just me, an empty apartment, and a future no longer laced with poison. I did not jump out of bed ready to conquer the world. I did not smile. I just breathed. And for the first time in what felt like years, the air did not taste like lies. But let us be honest, starting over was not easy. It was not glamorous. It was brutal. I did not just lose a wife. I lost mutual friends, people who chose her side before even asking for the truth. I lost connections we had built together. I lost a version of myself I would never see again. The man who once believed loyalty always mattered. There were days I woke up with bitterness sitting in my throat like bile. Nights I stared at the ceiling, unable to sleep, replaying her betrayal in high definition, over and over like some twisted movie I could not shut off. But every time the darkness started creeping in, I reminded myself of one simple truth: she did not win. Kelly thought she could destroy me, reduce me to dust, walk away without consequence. She thought I would beg, crawl back, apologize for not being enough. She never expected the part of me she tried to kill would be replaced with something harder, colder, smarter. I started small, rebuilt from the ground up, fixed my credit, changed every password, cut off anyone who smelled like toxicity. I hit the gym with a vengeance. Every drop of sweat was another lie I scrubbed out of my system. I traveled, not far at first, just a few towns over, places we had never been, places where I could breathe without ghosts whispering from the corners. I dated again, slowly, carefully, without illusions. Some women were great, some were not, but every one of them helped me stitch myself back together. I learned that I was not hard to love. I had just handed my heart to someone who never deserved to hold it. And honestly, that was not my shame to carry. It was hers. Kelly became a story, a cautionary tale whispered in old circles where people once admired her. The woman who burned everything down and still acted surprised when she was standing in the ashes. I heard the rumors, how she lost her next job, how she bounced from place to place, how even her new lovers never stayed long. Last I heard, she moved 2 towns away, changed her Instagram handle, chopped off her hair, tried to start over like she was not the architect of her own collapse. And me? I did not care. Not even a little. She was a ghost now, a name that no longer had weight. A shadow I stepped out of. She could spend the rest of her life applying fresh makeup over old cracks and pretending she had changed, but I knew better. She would always be that same person, the one who torched the best thing that ever happened to her because she was bored. And that is a punishment far worse than anything I could have dealt her. I rebuilt my world out of the rubble she left behind. Found real friends, the kind who do not disappear when things get ugly. Found passion in things I used to put off because I was too busy managing Kelly's moods. And one day, when I was not even looking, I found someone real. Not perfect, not some movie fantasy, but honest, steady. Someone who looked me in the eye, saw all the scars, all the bruises, all the battle-won lessons, and did not flinch. Someone who earned my trust one piece at a time. Not because they said the right things, but because they showed up when it mattered. And that is what freedom gave me. Not Kelly, not closure, just raw, honest, cut-you-deep truth. The kind that forces you to break before you can rebuild. The kind that teaches you that surviving is not the same as healing. But healing? That comes. Slowly, silently, with every mile between you and the wreckage. If you are reading this, and you are sitting there like I once did, on a couch in the dark, hearing the woman you love laugh in another man's ear, listen to me. You survive. You rebuild. And one day, you do not even think about them anymore. Unless it is as a warning. Not bitterness. Not revenge. Just a quiet voice inside that says, never again.